This room. This room has cost myself and other runners many, many hours. It's not as easy as it looks, and wait a second, that's cheating. While the jump can be made casually with this, it starts getting a lot more complicated when you remove certain requirements. Ender Lilies is a Metroidvania where you collect different abilities from different bosses and areas that will change how you traverse the map. This means if you skip a certain area, you skip the movement that area provides. So if we remove the winged dash from the casual jump, then we'll use movement from a different area, but that area may take less time to clear. It's even better if we can cut out entire pieces of movement required. This is the core logic behind most speedrunning strategies and skips, especially for Ender Lilies. And oh boy, this game can get a bit weird sometimes. And this poor Lily is going to be ramming her face along the ground many, many times along the way. We've got flopping, water hopping, water flopping, double dolphins, prayer canceling to climb ledges, fall damage, a lot of fall damage, Bernard, bird skip, which uses Bernard to jump the scab, bird skip skip, which skips having to touch Bernard, and then bird skip skip skip, which skips having any requirements by implementing magic. There's also infinitely juggling a nun, a glitch for making Lily a rocket, spider skip, slam canceling, a man, and his men, a minor degree of quantum tunneling, a magic disappearing act, bullying wizards for being inferior, dog, Infinidog, Bernard, but with double the flesh. Mario Maker, Horny Jail, and whatever this jump is. And lastly, this room. There's a few things to note before we actually dive into how this room is navigated. There's two types of spirits in this game, main spirits and sub-spirits. While main spirits usually have infinite uses, sub-spirits do not. Additionally, when used in the air, main spirits will freeze Lily in the air, zeroing out her current velocity. There are additionally 4 sub-spirits that also have this property, 2 of them being movement-based, and the other 2 being parry spirits. We call these types of spirits air stalls, and they'll be relevant throughout the entire video. At the very start of the game, the introductory boss Sigrid will always drop Guardian's Leap or double jump. At no point will playing will speedrunners ever not have double jump unless they're playing the randomizer mod. From Sigrid, the room we want to get in order to complete Ending A is over here. So to begin, we require the swim ability from the boss Elaine in Witch's Thicket. This allows us to swim into Stockade and traverse until we reach the boss Honir, who would give us the hook ability to be able to get out of the final room and get to the ending. But to make that jump, we also require to get Silva, which is going to require us to go into the catacombs. But to get into the catacombs, we have to get Garot's hammer and slam, which we have to go up into Cliffside Hamlet. Keep in mind that while defeating each of these bosses also makes all subsequent bosses harder to defeat as the chapter of the game increases. That means 4 chapter bosses to defeat just to be able to make that single jump in this one room. Not great. So let's go back to 2021. Back when the game was still in its 1.0.6 version, it only took about 1 month from the game release until this jump was solved by Schneehide. All you do is jump and activate the hook. Once it starts to pull Lily upwards, flop to the side, and the momentum carries her up to the ledge. One use of an air stall spirit and a double jump will grab the ledge. All that's required is hook, which you get from the boss immediately before this room, and double jump, which is from the introductory boss. No wings, no hammer. Great, so the route is already at a minimal point and is completely solved. Well, it was solved. In major version 1.1, they patched this hook glitch. The community was now back to the drawing board. It took another month and a half until the next major discovery by Mathulu, who managed to find a way to do this jump without Silva's wings. Unfortunately, the video has been lost to time, but here's a rendition what I think it was based on the description. By repeatedly flopping off of the hook and then reusing it, Lily slowly gains height. Once at the max height, we flop to the right and use the parry ring or headless defender in order to drop at this precise spot. Start the hook immediately and while falling, buffer an input for Garad's hammer. This resets the jump and flop. To make the last of the distance, we use Garad, whose attack moves you ever so slightly backwards, and grab the ledge. Looks complicated, doesn't have the easiest of inputs. Good thing it only took 1 hour for another member, Seb, to update this jump. He foregoes the entire jumping back and forth, but still utilizes the hook to reset the jump and flop. Garad is still required for the horizontal movement here in order to grab the ledge, however. The issue with this is that it still requires us to grab Garad and his hammer, which is a fairly long detour. It only took about 6 days before somebody found out how to cut out Garad entirely. So now the route would be just going through Witch's Thicket for Lane's swim ability, and then through Stockade and the Man Factory to do this jump. Awesome. If only this jump weren't horrendously difficult to hit without practice and takes ages to learn how to do it somewhat reliably. Not only that, but this jump is right at the end of the run. After a very difficult boss fight, you have to settle your nerves and just hit the jump. No big deal. But with all speedrunning things, the community kept cooking. Surely this jump would be made easier pretty soon. So I'm the next culprit from 2023, a bit less than 2 years later. The next jump is actually specific to the SSO category, or sub-spirits only. This category is simple. It's just beat the introductory boss and then unequip your starting main spirit. You cannot equip any main spirits for the rest of the game. So that means limited damage and no air stalls. Well, except for these 2 spirits. The primary thing about this jump is that it needs 2 air stalls. One here, one here. Otherwise, the momentum Lily has will carry her past the target and won't allow enough time to do the required inputs. To do this jump, it's the usual hook flopping to gain height. Instead of using Umbral to stop Lily at this precise spot, use a sub-spirit. However, Lily will immediately start falling, so you have to be quick on the hook input. Here's the fun part. A sub-spirit cannot be used to buffer this input while falling. This means you've used one of the airstall spirits after Lily has finished falling, but before the hook pulls her to the side. Too early, no jump and flop reset. Too late, you've lost distance and can no longer make the jump. Other than that, just flop over the exact same way as before and use the second airstall to grab the ledge. This jump sucks. In fact, it is so hard that as of my current knowledge, there are only 2 people in the community that have ever attempted it, yet alone hit it. Myself and the runner Iris. Iris still reigns as the only individual who has ever hit this jump during a run. Fast forward to November 11th, 2024, when a new technique was introduced to Ender Lilies. By putting the game into window mode and then pressing Alt plus space, the game will pause. Pressing Alt again will unpause the game. certain physics calculations will continue while the game is paused. We call it Spalt. While Spalt deserves a video on its own with the amount of use cases it has, we'll be focusing primarily on one of them, flop extensions. When in the middle of a flop, if we use Spalt to pause the game while Lily is perpendicular but slightly above a ledge, she would teleport on top of it when the game is unpaused. It's possible to use on the ending jump and resulted in this. Which later got reduced to this. Which I refined into the final. The Spalt variant is doable no matter the category or whatever movement the player currently has. Massive shout out to the community and all the runners for this game who've done the research, done the work, and done the grinding for these runs. The Ender Lilies Discord will be posted in the description. Feel free to stop by, and if you're interested in running the game, throw us some questions. We're happy to have new people anytime.